Today's guest in the podcast is Taylor Suydam. Taylor and I mostly talk about social media personas and insecurities in this podcast, but we also sort of touch on pharmacy school and her nose job. For the first minute or so of this podcast, the video is frozen for whatever reason, but after that, it goes back to normal, so don't worry about that. Anyway, enjoy the podcast. First things first, the question that I texted you is a question that I want to be like a consistent question across all my podcasts moving forward. So just to reiterate, the question is, what experience set in motion your biggest personal revelation? So what was the event or thing? What was your revelation, and how is that impacting you today? So do you have an answer for that question?
I do.
Okay.
My revelations or my experiences probably weren't good ones, but at least I learned from them, and they were kind of like a wake up call for me. So just in general, in undergrad, I just definitely just binge drank, and just I lost a lot of friends by the time I hit my senior year. I ended up going to the hospital because I drank too much. This gets dark. I'm sorry. I ended up literally going to the psych ward because I told a cop that I wanted to kill myself.
Oh, shit.
And I don't even remember it. And when I was there, I had a doctor pretty much tell me, this was right before I went to pharmacy school too. I had a doctor pretty much tell me he wanted to put me in an inpatient psych ward and put me on a program, and he was like, I think you need to put off pharmacy school, you're never gonna make it in pharmacy school. And I was like, bet. I was like,
And I took that
big bet.
personally.
I was like, watch me, I am leaving in 2 weeks and you will never see me again, and I never want to see your face again.
Wow.
And so that just kind of was a big wake up call to me. It scared me straight. I think it scared my parents straight. My parents told me they were going to take me out of school, and I was like,
Okay.
don't want that. But then on a lighter side, just going to pharmacy school, I've just become more responsible, and
Yeah.
I've had better drinking habits and whatnot, and I'm actually happy being here, and I have a lot of good friends around me. So
That's awesome. Well, I'm glad that things turned
yeah.
around. I mean, I feel like what Connor said in the previous episode was sort of in the same vein, and I'm glad that you said that this experience wasn't necessarily a good thing, because it's the opposite. Obviously, it's super uncomfortable,
Yeah.
and so I'm glad that you turned it around. Seems like through your own decision making, you decided to turn around for yourself.
Yeah.
The question that I do want to ask though is, how much do you think the cop, or did you say it was the cop or the person who was helping you that said you're not going to make it through pharmacy school?
It was, so when I was in
Oh, the
I don't
inpatient.
know if you want to call it, I don't know if you want to call it a psych ward or what, but it was pretty much just I don't know, it was kind of a drunk take type thing.
Oh, I
I was
see.
in a hospital and they wouldn't let me leave until I was sober enough, and then I had to talk to a doctor to leave too. And the doctor told me, I was talking to his resident before, and she was really cool, really nice, and then the doctor came in and was like, look, you're not going to make it. You're not gonna go, you can't do this in pharmacy school. You're not gonna do well in pharmacy school. And that's when I have never been rude to a doctor or anyone above me, but I got so angry and I just shut off. I was like, you will never see me again. I am moving to South Carolina and I will do great, and you're not gonna see me again.
Wow. That's such a, I mean, for them to make suggestions
I
like
started
that is,
sobbing. Yes.
yeah,
I was like, I'm
that's,
pretty sure doctors aren't supposed to say this
yeah, because
to
that's also
patients, but
first of all, not only is that super rude, but to me that seems almost like a deep projection on their part. It's why do you
yeah.
feel so motivated to tell this girl who's obviously going through something that's okay.
I know I need to get my life together. I'm not stupid. You don't have to say that I'm not going to make it in pharmacy school, because I'm doing really well. So I just
Yeah,
want to send him my GPA and be like, hey, it's been a year. What's up?
right. So what point were you still an undergraduate at this point, or were you starting pharmacy school?
Yeah, I just graduated. It was probably a month before I moved down here to South Carolina.
I see. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So that was like,
So it like hit home. I was
yeah,
like, no,
yeah.
I'm moving to South Carolina in 3 weeks. He's like, I think you should put that off. And I was like, I don't think I should.
Dude, I got a lot to say about that. That's insane.
Yeah, it was really intense.
Because that timing, like,
So
I know you just said the timing is insane, but like that, because if you had any doubts, if you were someone who aspired to be a doctor, or like, you admired someone in his position, and you're going to pharmacy school, so it's like close, and for him to say something like that, and if you were someone who was like on the edge about it yourself, he could have easily influenced someone to
oh yeah.
not challenge themselves and push them. I mean, yeah, that's insane. So yeah, for what it's worth, that's awesome that you kept doing it, because that's some shit. Because I felt like you
Thanks.
said that you had to hold back, and I'm like, yeah, I'm just putting myself in my
I really
shoes. I'm like,
did.
that's
Like I
absurd.
was like, I'm gonna fight this man right now. I'm gonna fight him.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
S-
It was.
Okay. So do you look back on that as like a motivator when things are going like rough, like when you have to like work really hard and study and stuff like that?
At this point, not really. Like I'm doing this for me at this point, and like I don't know. I don't really need motivation from anyone else because I don't know. Does that sound weird? Like I just motivate myself. Like I want to do well
No, I
in
want I
life.
want to hear about that. So you how do you did you go through a point where you got your motivation outside of yourself? And did you transition to this point where you feel motivated by yourself? Or have you always naturally been like a self motivator?
Um, I think just in general. So I'm just like, I don't know. I've gone most of my whole life like trying to impress other people, and I think that's like what I'm still doing, and that's like just like deep inside why I'm doing everything because I want everyone to be like impressed by me, and I don't want everyone to think that I'm like this dumb bitch from high school still. Like I'm gonna go to our class reunions and be like, "What's up? I'm a doctor. What the fuck are you doing?" Um,
Yeah, I hear you. I hear
but like, so I don't know. It's kind of like me motivating myself, but also like I'm motivated to like prove everyone else wrong at the same
you.
time.
Okay. So if I'm just understanding this correctly, it seems like the main catalyst for what you're doing was originally those sort of things, but like as you're sort of in the process, it seems like it's slowly transitioning more to like you're doing it for yourself now, like
Yeah.
slowly but surely. So that's kind of cool. I liked it a lot. Um, what was I gonna say about what did you study in undergrad?
I have a degree in biological sciences.
Biological sciences. Okay. Did you know that you wanted to do farm school when you went?
Yeah. I
Okay.
I started pre-farm, and then I realized after like freshman year, I was like, I don't have the GPA to apply to pharmacy school yet. So I was like, I'll go another year. And I was like, I'll go another year.
Okay.
And then my parents were like, all right, you're on year 3. Like, just go to year 4, like, get a degree and then go to pharmacy school. And I
Yeah.
was like, all right, why not? Like,
Right.
4 extra years of college, whatever.
Okay. Um, I'm first of all, I'm really happy that you're talking about this, and Katie talked about it, and Connor talked about it, because so many people, especially in Hudson, are so convinced, and they expect them, like there is a concrete expectation for everyone who goes to college. First of all, everyone goes to college. That's the expectation out of Hudson.
Yeah.
And then you get your degree in 4 years, and you immediately join the job force if like that's applicable, or you immediately go to grad school. So
Yeah.
hearing your situation where like you aren't down bad, like you didn't drop out of school, you're not, like you're doing well for yourself, like you rebounded, like you ended up where you're
Hmm.
supposed to be, and
Yeah.
but you just had some like twists and turns, and so it's cool. So I want to go back real quick to what you said about social media when you're describing the motivation factors, and I want to talk about something that happened like freshman year of college, and
Oh,
I want you to
God.
know it's not. I mean, I can get into
Oh,
some
Lord.
specific
Here we
stuff,
go.
but no, it was basically it's pretty. So freshman year of college, my roommate moved out, like, or he transferred schools like 2 weeks before school started. So I had no roommate my freshman year.
Oh,
And that kind of
wow.
sucked. Like at first I was hyped because I'm
Yeah.
like, I could double to myself as a
Sweet.
school. Exactly. Then after like the third weekend of just like playing Call of Duty, it was just like high school, you know what I mean? It was like I'm doing nothing except like
Yeah.
this is not the college experience.
Yeah.
So I would do shit
Yeah.
like go to Miami, I would go to Ohio State, and I would just go to these other schools and I would party there. And I would be like,
Hmm.
I would have like a blast there. And then I would go home and I would tell my parents, I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, these other schools are so much more fun, but I just wasn't doing anything at John Carroll. I mean, John Carroll's not a party school
Yeah.
by any metric, but um, yeah. So I was like, I was not necessarily a shut in, but I didn't do anything to get any other like new friends until my sophomore
Yeah.
year. I moved in with some people and everything turned around. But my freshman year is that I would like, it was really cringy because honestly, one of like the main objectives that I had, and it wasn't like a it was like every single time I went out, I had an opportunity to go to Miami or had an opportunity to go to OSU. I would
Hmm.
like, bro, like we need to get a picture and it needs to be sick because I need to post this online because I have literally no other like, you know what I mean? Like social like clout or like anything else.
Yeah.
Like, and it was like hollow as shit because now when I hang out with my friends, like I forget that I'm even like, you know what I mean? Like the time flies instantly. I don't even,
Yeah.
yeah. It's so weird, but I was like motivated as shit to like, all right, guys, we need to take like a drip pic like right now. Um, and so I would follow people from John Carroll that I didn't even know yet. So like there was like a Facebook group and
Yeah.
people were like adding each other. And there was like some people in my orientation group that I added. And I started adding like every single name that I recognized and every single person who was in what's like our entry class, whatever you want to call it. And
Uh-huh. Yeah.
and so even though these people didn't know me and I had no idea who they were, and I got these likes from like these like lame ass pictures that I like, you know, carefully curated and posted online. Like it was scary the actual amount of like dopamine that I got, like how good I felt when people were liking these pictures. And so I was like, this can't go on. Like I don't know. Like you talk about um binge drinking, and you know I've definitely gone through my phase. Like when I was losing weight, when I didn't really know what I was doing, I would like transition that binge eating to binge drinking, and I'd be like, whoa, hold up,
Hmm.
like you know it just transferred itself. But it's really funny to go from a complete 180 on how you use social media. So do you have maybe okay, has your usage of social media changed in the same sort of way that mine has changed? So just to summarize, like going from taking pictures for the sake of taking pictures and getting likes versus like using it with some sort of like intention.
Uh, like, I don't know. I think it's kind of different for girls. Like, ever since like high school, I've been like trying to impress people with like my Instagram and whatnot. And I think that's how like a lot of girls are with social media, at least with mostly Instagram. Um, and obviously, like if one of my pictures doesn't get a lot of likes, I'm like, what the heck? What's going on? Like,
Yeah.
oh my God, it's the end of the world. But like, I don't know. Lately, I'm just like over all that shit. Like, I don't know if you saw my last Instagram post, but I was like, I'm just like sick of like pretending that my life is like perfect and like I'm a perfect person.
I'm
And
listening, but I'm gonna
so
look it
I
up right
post,
now. If you saw it up.
okay, I'm gonna look it up too so I can reference it too. But it was pretty much I called it like my first Insta post.
Okay.
And so like I have a picture of me drinking on it. I have a picture of when I had this terrible like allergic reaction for 2 weeks and I
Yeah.
was
Okay.
getting an IV of like an IV of methylprednisone like every day. Like I was
Mm.
miserable. I have another picture of me looking ugly at my favorite bar and I'm like photoshopped in it. I have one of my nose job
Love that
and
one.
then another email from my dean saying that I'm failing a course and another one from, it's like a school forum that says, write a short answer describing what you are struggling with most in life. And I put in quotes, short answer.
Okay.
So like, I don't know. I'm just kind of sick of pretending that like I'm this perfect person, and I just like don't give a fuck anymore, because that's not me.
Yeah.
And people are going to meet me one day and be like, this girl doesn't look like her Instagram. Like, I don't want to be that person.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think it's awesome. And to be honest, like the few people that I told that I was going to do this podcast with you, one of them was Katie, and I'm going to call Katie out because I told her about it and she had nothing but nice things to say to you. And it was weird because I was like, girls eviscerate each other behind their backs. I'm like, this is going to like, I don't know if Katie usually doesn't talk shit at all, but I'm like, Katie might say some shit, but it was very thoughtful things. And I'm like, and one of the things that we were talking about was that what you just did in that post was like, you took the sting out of all of those like insecurities. So like you doing that, you sort of like remove the middleman from anyone talking shit about you. And it's like very
no one
liberating.
can make fun of myself if I make fun of myself first.
Yes. So. It's like, you see an 8 Mile with Eminem? Damn. Okay, in the last rap battle, the way he wins is because he makes fun of himself, and the dude who he's rapping against, he can't say anything. So that's basically what you just did. You're Eminem in 8 Mile. But so yeah, so I think from that standpoint, so like what's your take on, sorry, there's so many ways I can go with this. Do you still have a Finsta that like you post on after that post?
So I haven't had a Finsta since like high school, but I do have like a private Snapchat where I have like people I'm friends with, like very close with, so that if I want to like say something like completely unhinged, like I don't have to tell the whole world.
Yeah.
But like I kind of want to bring this up. Like I have Instagram, I feel like I have like one personality, and then on Twitter, I feel like I'm a whole other person. Like on Twitter, I will make fun of myself, and I'm pretty unhinged on Twitter. And then like on Instagram, like it's more like trying to make it look like I have fun, like I'm very successful. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. There's just like two completely different like people.
So can you find your authentic self between those two, or is your authentic self never like not even in between those two?
I would say it's in between somewhere.
Okay.
Maybe more Twitter. Twitter gets more of my like candid thoughts.
Okay, so that's like stream of conscious. Okay. So do you feel liberated when you made that post? When you on Instagram?
I was drunk when I did it. I was thinking about it for a while, and I was like, I had like 2 glasses of wine. I was like, all right, we're gonna post this shit. Like, I don't even care. Fuck it. If anyone wants to say anything. And like, I have my Instagram on like, technically I'm like set as like a public figure, but it's not shown, just so I can see my stats on my posts and stuff like that.
Oh right, yeah.
And so I was like,
I was
like, all right, let's look it up. I was like, let's see. And I go to that post that my last post on Instagram, and it was sent to people 31 different times.
Holy
to someone.
shit.
So I was like, either people are talking shit about me, or
what's
like,
your average amount of posts or what's the average amount of times it gets sent for your other posts?
My one before that, which was me and like 3 of my friends, we got 3.
Oh, 31 like, compared to 3?
Yeah.
Whoa.
I was like, we got some mean girls from high school or something. I don't know.
So you made wow, 31 people.
Or people are just like, wow, she got a nose job. Look at this. Or wow, she's failing pharmacy school. Look at this.
So that sort of, what do you feel about that sort of validation that there's 31 people who took the time to send it
care so much about me to send it? Yeah.
Yeah. So like, what's your take on that? It's like, that's 31 whole people that like gave a shit about.
It is what it is. Yeah, exactly. I just live rent free in their head pretty much at this point.
Yeah, because it's that's what I like, because you have, that's at the very base, the foundation is that you have that influence over people, and that can be positive or negative. So, and like living rent free, and people said there is something to say about you for whatever reason having that effect over people, and that's what I find really interesting, because now that you're transitioning to someone who like doesn't give a fuck about those people and is like more about self-motivated and doing things for herself, like to me that sounds
Yeah.
like dangerous. Like that sounds really cool because like
Yeah.
yeah. So 31 people. Sorry, I need to. I mean, I doubt people send my shit
I
around,
really
but
wish I could see who sent it around. If you're listening to this podcast and you sent it around, let me know. I would like to know.
that would be the biggest. That's the biggest T, as the kids say, of all time. If you can see who sent. Wow.
Like I don't think like definitely high school me like wouldn't be able to do this shit. Like I definitely didn't have the confidence that I did in high school.
Mm-hmm.
But like at a certain point, you just have to like if you're not even confident, you just need to pretend you're confident and then like other people will think I don't know. It
Yeah. No, I'm picking up what you're putting down. I think the one thing I want to say is that you are, for the most part, and the people who I know, it's you're truly okay doing that as soon as you accept those parts of yourself. Like you're not like, you know what I
mhm.
mean? Like here's the thing about the shit that you said and the shit that I said, the shit that Connor said, is that like we have all we have all gone through like insane stuff that like at one point we thought was super embarrassing. Like we thought like, I mean, I'll speak for myself. Like I thought I was a fuck up at one point. I'm like, I can't, like, this is so embarrassing. I'm at this point in my life. Like I can't let anybody know. I'm embarrassed to tell my parents. And
Mhm.
the more you talk to people and like, and they get to the point of like their willingness to open up, every single person has gone through some shit, and whether or not have accepted it is like what makes the entire difference. And if someone who hasn't gotten to that point is someone who I feel personally just does not take risks and is scared to take any sort of leap for themselves, right?
Mhm.
Like that's why I think it's so important for people to just say this shit. Like it doesn't have to be in the way that you said it. It doesn't have to be in the way that like we're talking in this like conversation, but it's like people need to understand the humility that like we are all massive fuck ups behind the scene. Like don't get it twisted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, for sure. Like, I mean, only a few people know that I've gone to the hospital because I've been drinking. Like, I try to cover that shit up,
Yeah.
but like, I at this point in my life, like, it's obviously something that I grew from, and I'm like kind of like happy it happened to me because I wouldn't be the person that I am today. So,
Exactly. Exactly. That's awesome. So when did you make the decision? I totally forgot because like I've been moving in COVID. It's been like time warping my shit. When did you go through with your nose surgery?
I did it. My surgery was on August 7th.
August 7th. Okay.
So, oh my God, literally the like post surgery, post op, like terrible. The worst pain I have been
Oh,
in. Like,
really? Whoa.
oh my God. I'll give you a little rundown. Um, God, I'm trying to even think like what was wrong with me. So like you can't sleep laying down. You have to sleep on your back and you need to sleep like elevated and you can't breathe out of your nose.
Oh,
And I
wow.
was like, you know what? Whatever, I'll start a new Netflix series. Like, I'll chill in bed for all like the whole day, whatever. I don't care. And then they're like, no, you can't because you're gonna get like an embolism. And I was like, I don't
Oh,
want a blood
right.
clot. I was like, fuck. And they're like, and you're on birth control too, so that increases your risk of getting a clot. So like you need to wear these compression socks, you need to walk around, you need to be active, but don't go in the sun. Like don't drink, don't do this. I'm like, oh my God, there's so
Wow.
many rules.
I would never guess
And
that. Yeah.
they, oh my God, it's terrible. They gave me Percocet. Percocet didn't even help my pain.
Oh,
Like
wow.
I was in so much pain. It was terrible. Like at some point I was like, my nose better look perfect after this because like at this point this is not worth it. Like I'm not having fun right now.
Yeah.
So like after after a week I got like the splint removed off my nose and then there's like inside splints too, so they take those out also.
Oh, that felt
Um
weird,
and
probably.
then it starts yeah, it's really weird. And then it starts to like swell again and like not a lot of people know this, but it takes a year for a nose job to like fully heal.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, so I'm still not supposed to be like in the sun, which is super hard considering I live in South Carolina.
Yeah.
And then I couldn't work out for like a month.
Okay.
So
So was that like a long time coming, or was that like a spur of the moment thing? Your decision to
I
get your nose?
knew I knew I was gonna do it at some point, and then ever since like COVID, I was like, you know what, fuck it, let's just do it. Like this is the perfect time. Everyone's wearing masks. Like no one's
Yeah.
gonna see me. Like I really don't care. And I mean, my mom got one too, so like I knew I was gonna get one at some point. I just didn't know when.
Was she your age
So
when she
now
got it?
I don't know when she got it.
Okay.
I have no idea. But um what was I gonna say? Oh, so now I have my parents took care of my undergrad debt. I'm doing my pharmacy school debt, and now I got a nose job debt too. So
Hey. Okay. Damn.
yeah. But
Dude.
I don't know. I know I'm gonna like graduate and have like a really good starting salary, so I'm like, I'm not worried about
Right.
paying off anything.
Before I ask you about um pharmacy school, what are your thoughts after, like, I'm guessing your nose is like, even though it's been what, like 3 months, almost 3 months.
Hmm.
What do you think about like the progress and like the difference it made?
Like I don't even know. My nose right now, it looks like very natural, like on my face. It doesn't look like I've gotten a nose job. But, like I got rid of my bump and then kind of just like I don't know if you can tell from my side profile, but I used to
Oh
have
yeah.
like a bump and now I don't. But it looks like this should be like how my nose should be when I was born, if that makes sense. Like
Okay.
I don't know, it just
Yeah. Yeah.
feels like so just right for me, and it hasn't like helped my confidence a ton,
Okay.
but like definitely makes me feel like I'm more like I don't even know. Like I just feel like this is how I was supposed to look the
Okay.
whole time,
I
you know?
understand. Yeah. Um. What was I gonna say? So, how much of a factor was it playing into your confidence, like before you got the nose job?
Not a ton. Like I said, I honestly fake confidence all the time because like faking confidence, if you're a 6, like that'll take you up to like an 8 at least. Like it
That goes
helps
for
so
guys too.
much.
Yeah.
Yes. And so I don't know, I would fake it all the time, but now I actually feel like I would say I feel like more confident in myself because that's
Okay.
the one thing that I was like this like needs to change. This is
Okay.
not me.
I see. Um. Did you have any like personal dilemmas up to making that decision? I know you said that your mom did that and that sort of, reinforced your decision to do it, and it was sort of a long time coming, but were there any sort of like anything holding you back, like any thoughts holding you back?
Not really. I was like scared about it just because like surgery in general, just whatever. Um, I mean, it's been something I wanted done since like middle school.
Okay.
So
Okay. I see.
I was like ready to pull the trigger. I was ready to do everything.
Okay. That's cool then. Um, okay. So yeah, so pharmacy school, as you're in it now, are you still as excited about, well, first of all, actually, before I ask that question, what about pharmacy school? And sorry, this sounds like an interview question, but what about pharmacy school are you most passionate about?
God, I like thrive on stress now. Like it's really bad.
Okay.
I like realized I really like school and I really like being stressed out. And I don't know. I just when when I have to go in the workforce, I'm like not sure what I'm gonna have to do because I really do like thrive on this school stress and it's like
I
super
see.
unhealthy, but like I love it. It's so like toxic, but I love it.
Okay. So I'm guessing, like, I know not everyone who goes to farm schools and end up as a pharmacist at like the Hudson CVS, but like pace
Yeah.
wise, like that's a much, like, what is the pace like in a pharmacy?
What do you mean?
Like,
Like
is it fast paced? You do the same shit every day? Like, I mean, I can figure like the majority of it, but like compared to studying for pharmacy school, what's like the actual job atmosphere like?
yeah, it depends kind of if you're talking about like retail pharmacy, which is what everyone thinks about when they think of pharmacy. It depends like on how big your store is kind of like how many scripts you do a day. And the CVS I'm currently working at down here, and then I know the one in Hudson, like they're like stupid busy. So
Mm.
like I'm constantly doing something, which is really nice because it makes time go by so fast.
Right.
And I like actually feel like most of the time like I'm making a difference in someone's life. Like I
Right.
actually try to like help people out and like go the extra mile and whatnot.
Okay. I had this conversation with ACAB Culture today. We're talking about momentum. So have you thought about, it sounds like what you're saying with like the busy schedule that you sort of rely on momentum. So do you find yourself like being discouraged or like slowing down when you have a slight break?
I get like really weirded out. Like the day after exams or something like that, maybe like I don't know, maybe like twice a month maybe. I get like these random free days where I don't have to do anything and I get like really stressed out because I'm like I know I should be doing something. Like there's something to do. I can't be watching Netflix all day. This is not right. Like something's not right here.
Mm.
Um so like just to like give you a little rundown of like what pharmacy school is like for me. So like I do all my work, all my like studying on my iPad. I checked my iPad like stats on like how often I use my like studying app or whatever that I used to take notes on.
Mm.
And it said that I average 12 to 20 hours a week on that app, and that's
Oh
not
shit.
including class.
Wow.
And then I'm in 18 credit hours. I have 1 to 2 exams each week, and I currently have like 2 jobs.
Oh
So
wow.
like I am always doing the most. And when I have free time, it scares the fuck out of me because I shouldn't have free time.
Okay. I see. So it's like a guilt
So
aspect of it, is what you're saying, right?
yeah, it is.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. Here's a personal question. Have you ever, I mean, it seems like you don't have the time for it, but have you ever considered, I'm sure your school offers this, but have you considered doing like a counseling or therapy program? Like,
Um, so I have been I've seen someone for like anxiety depression since like I want to say sophomore year in high school, and now I've ever since junior year of undergrad, I've been like pretty stable on meds. So like I literally like just rely on meds. I don't like talking to people about my feelings or anything like that.
okay.
So I'm pretty good until I
Okay.
forget to like take my medicine. Then I get a little wild. But
Okay. I hear you. Um, okay. So here's another sort of boring ass question, but I want to know what's the coolest or what are some of the coolest things you've learned in farm school? Because I learned a lot of cool shit in my psycho farm class that I took for fun my senior year. And
why would you ever take that for fun?
I don't know. But you know what's funny is that taking that class for fun, I thought like my professor said like you're taking it for fun, but it's like a hard class. You probably you don't want to lower your GPA
Yeah,
by chance. But when I was taking it, it was
yeah.
so I knew it was for fun, and so it was actually the easiest day I ever got. So just because like when I was
Really?
studying, I was like, dude, this is like so sick. I was
This is
like
interesting.
learning about like because you learn about basically everything that you see you and your friends or not you per se illegal drugs and how they work in your body and potentiation and stuff like that and how like poisons work. The coolest thing I learned in my psychopharm class is that almost all
You learn about
poisons.
potassium?
No, what's special about potassium?
Oh, potassium is used in like a lot of like pretty sure they use potassium when they're like killing someone, like on death row.
Oh, I think okay. It's just like, oh yeah, a shitload of potassium. Yeah. So like I guess like the
Hmm.
nature of poisons is that they're therapeutic at a tiny dose, like a very
Yeah,
minuscule
that's what
dose.
we learned. They're like there's a very fine line between like a drug and a poison.
Yeah, that's
Like
so
it's the
sick to
same
me.
thing, except one's like a therapeutic level, and then once you go over that therapeutic level, it's a toxin.
Yeah. So yeah, when we're talking about that now, I'm like, that's the case for like fentanyl, because I guess like fentanyl. I mean, it's a tiny, tiny window, but
Hmm.
for fentanyl, unlike alcohol, you could technically die pretty quick if you drink too much, but it is
Hmm.
therapeutic um at some doses. So that's cool. But sorry to I'll pass it over to you for you to answer that question if you have something in mind.
I honestly don't like right now. in my like main class. In my classes, I'm learning about arrhythmias. That's not really cool.
Okay.
Um, I'm learning about like different microorganisms, which I'm also not interested in because I don't really care about infectious disease.
Hmm.
Um, what else am I learning currently? I don't know. I haven't learned like any super cool things yet. Like we talked last year about like some illegal like substances and whatnot, but I don't know, nothing like too crazy.
Okay. Um.
Nothing that would like interest the general population. Like
Right.
I
Yeah.
think all the things I learn is really cool, but like what's
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
cool about people having like strokes and
Yeah. And
arrhythmias and hypertension and high cholesterol, etc. It's not that fascinating to other people.
yeah, I hear you. I'm gonna tell you. This is the same way I feel about chemistry because I'm like check myself and I'm like, dude, like if anyone else heard this, they would be like, that's lame. But the coolest thing that I learned in my chemistry career, I'm gonna ask you a question, and this is like
Oh
by far
God,
the
please
coolest thing
don't
ever.
quiz me.
No, I mean, I don't think anyone who asked this question got it right. But what do you think the opposite of an engine is?
What?
It's a refrigerator.
How?
Okay, this is when it's like boring as shit, but when you put gasoline in your engine, that's uh oh shit. I need to
You
make
do
sure I
know
say
your
this
own
right. I need
riddle.
no, because I'm just thinking about my professors being like, no, like roasting me for it. Because John Carroll was such a small school, and there were such small
Yeah.
class sizes that like
Oh, I'm
it got
sure.
to that point where it's like if you did mess up, you would just get roasted for it, like by your professor. But it was cool. Like I learned a lot from John Carroll, but that's just like it was a camaraderie sort of thing. Um, but it turns so when you put gasoline in your engine, it turns heat into work. So when your gasoline gets combusted, it'll move the piston. So when it moves the piston, that's work.
Mhm.
So it moves your car. And then with your refrigerator, it turns electrical work into heat. In that case, it's like cold, but it's technically heat. So anyway, that was a question on one of my tests, and I was like, that was like the last question. I turned it in with a smile on my face. I'm like, dude, that last question was sick. But yeah. um.
Oh my gosh, that's great.
So your undergraduate degree, if you didn't do pharmacy, what would you do?
Um, I like realistically, I'd probably be like a farm rep, which is still like something that I'm interested in doing. Um, but this is also really random. If I dropped out of pharmacy school, I would probably go be a flight attendant.
Why do you? No, no, I'm not. I'm not judging you because I'm not gonna take it away from you. But I do have a story. But why is that?
I don't know. I like airports a lot. Like I just want to travel and like I think it would be so much fun.
Okay. The reason why I paused is because again, it was super eerie that like Jacob Karcher and I were having this conversation the other day about like if we got to that like another point where we're just like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like we're like actually like salary wise, I would much rather do like this job that I would have found like boring or like there wasn't like a glory back in it when I was like growing up, and now it's like I am 100%
Yeah.
doing that job every single day now. It's like I don't mind that at all. So it's really funny that you bring that up because I'm like, yes, I agree. Like flight attendant's not my first option, but I'm like, I understand what you're doing. Yeah. Um. Okay. Here's the other question I want to ask, just to transition back to like what we're talking about social media. So, what positives do you see, if any, um, using social media as like a kid in grad school?
I'm not really discouraged by social media at all. Like I don't feel like I don't know. I know everything on Instagram is pretty much fake at this point. Like everyone photoshops their face. Everyone tries to make themselves look better than they are. Like and I think once I realized that, I'm like I really don't care. Like this girl's really pretty. That's cool.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna compare myself to her because I know that this picture that she posted probably isn't even really her.
Right.
And I just also like I help it motivate me too. Like if I think this girl's really hot, like shit, I should probably go to the gym. I should probably do something about that if I'm unhappy with myself, or I don't know.
Right.
I just try to like find a positive out of a negative.
Okay. So, what do you think about kids growing up nowadays? Because in middle school, I don't think like anyone. I think I knew like one person in 8th grade who had a smartphone, but like no one had smartphones before high school, as far as I'm aware. So, what do you have to say about?
Yeah.
Do you think it's? I mean, I think I had this conversation with someone else, but what's your take on like the dangers of using it as like a preteen? Because I feel like I don't see any scenario unless there's like a culture shift where middle schoolers don't have a smartphone. I mean, I'm out of
Yeah,
touch
definitely
because I'm
not.
not around families with middle schoolers. But like, what's your take on that?
Yeah. I don't like even since we didn't even have smartphones, but I feel like I was definitely still bullied like online by people.
We did a Facebook.
Like
That's right.
and I feel
Right.
and we had like Ask FM and dumb shit like that. Where you're
Oh,
pretty
I
much
forgot
like
about Ask
asking to
FM.
get like killed by other people. Yeah.
Yes.
So I definitely got roasted on that hella times. And it definitely does make it easier to like knock down someone's confidence, especially when you're that young. Like
Yeah.
my confidence was so low when I was young. Like if I had social media then and I had to like, I don't know, I just wasn't as strong of a person and like that would definitely like hurt.
Yeah. Ask FM was like guerrilla warfare. Now that I'm thinking about that, like,
It really was.
that is, yeah, that was bad. Because Facebook, like, you saw everyone, but like Ask FM was like, that
Yeah.
was like the first like anonymous, like, damn. Because I know a lot of dudes didn't do that. Because like if someone roasted me on Ask FM, I immediately knew it was like Noah Zlewski or Jacob or something like that. I was like, I know who this is. But as a girl, it's like, dude, girls are fucked up when they the shit that they do.
Girls are fucked up.
Yeah,
Me
that's
included. I've done some bad shit. And you know what? Just don't fuck with me at this point.
hey, that's real that you admit it though. Damn. Yeah, so I'm worried about that, and also like I know you use Twitter as like a stream of conscious thing, but have you noticed like the censoring on Twitter?
No.
Okay. Well, this is more like a political thing, but actually I don't even know if that's the story.
Did Connor say something about that?
We
I
were
think Connor
going
tweeted something about it.
Oh yeah, he that was actually that was our main point that we were trying to go with that video, but we just ended up getting a different conversation. So we're gonna try for our next one to go into that topic. But we're both really passionate about censorship on Twitter and just like the general, like Twitter is very left leaning, Reddit is very left leaning, a lot of mainstream media is left leaning, and that's not even the issue. The issue is what like when you go on Twitter and you go on Reddit, it's I guess like the framework makes it seem that every single person on that website is left leaning, and you are like the single person if you don't have that opinion. So
Yeah.
Connor and I had like this discussion where it's like, regardless if you voted for Trump, it doesn't matter. Almost 73 million people voted for Trump, assuming that all those are legal ballots. So 73 million people voted for him, but you go on these websites and they make Trump supporters seem as if they're some minority, like an extreme minority.
Yeah.
So going on Twitter and Instagram, it's like there's these like different fronts now, because there's like this personal front where you experience things like you've been saying, like you're comparing yourself and you have to sort of stop yourself, because if you go on Instagram, and I'm imagining as a girl, it's like there's a lot more like subtle competition. So it's like, unless you go on Instagram with intention, you're going to get sucked into like this like negative thought loop when you scroll through. So you have to be on guard for that. And then when you go on Twitter and Reddit, it's like when you're scrolling on Twitter there, you have to be on guard and telling yourself that like, this is not the consensus opinion. These are just like the stuff that like, you know what I mean? Like it's these things do like a really good job of painting a picture that's not accurate.
Well, like kind of relating to this besides politics, like with this whole like Black Lives Matter stuff and like fuck cops thing, like my dad's a fucking cop. Like seeing all this shit like hurts. And you know what? I
Yeah.
can't say anything because that makes me look like I'm a bad person.
Right.
And like if I defend cops, like I'm a terrible person and I hate black people, blah blah blah, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So like I don't know, you just kind of have to take it with a grain of salt and just
Yeah.
I
Sorry, keep going.
I don't even know what to say. Like I get so heated over it sometimes because like people say terrible things about cops and I'm like, that's my dad.
Right.
Like I love my dad and my dad hopefully goes to work and tries to make, you know, the world a better place. And then all these people are like bashing cops and just
Yeah.
makes me feel terrible about my
Yeah, I
life.
hear you. I mean, that's the part that the internet tries to make people forget is that those cops actually have families at home and like they're doing this for,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like that's huge. And the frustrating part is that I saw this one post. I think it was a study. I need to pull it up. Katie, if you're still here, you need to make sure that this is right. It was 81%.
Katie's like drunk right now.
It was 81% of the black people that were surveyed in this study wanted the same or more police presence in their neighborhood. And Twitter and Reddit makes it seem that like these like all the white journalists are saying, hey, like
Yeah.
this is what black people want. So it's like I talk to my black friends, which has become a meme, like your black friends, but I have a conversation with my black friends and some of them do say something that's like, you know, on point with that, but the majority of them say like have a sentiment that's like, you know, not at all like that massive, you know, ACAB sort of shit, which pisses me off because it's like that's a very lazy way of like, you know, assessing this shit. So when you're going this shit, like you're alienated from like, you know, the FOMO of your personal stuff, and then you're on Twitter and you're like, part of you like, should I feel bad that like I'm not saying you feel this way, but it's like,
Yeah. No,
should I
that's
feel bad
exactly
that my
how it
dad's a
is.
cop? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I, like multiple times I'm like, do I text my dad? Do I say something to him? Like I like what if he is like bad? Like, you know, I don't know. Like a lot of things like go through my head and I'm like, I hope my dad has never done anything like to put another person's like life in danger, take advantage of his power. Like
Right.
it's like fucking scary.
Yeah. In the same vein as that, is like I saw this one thing. It was like you need to go home and tell your parents that unless they donate like a certain amount of money to BLM, like you need to block them on your phone until they do it. And I'm like, this is the absolute worst. So it's like the subliminal things that even you were thinking. You're like, now you're starting to question like the integrity of your dad, and it's like,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
I
So
remember when I was little, I like wanted to be a cop so bad. Like I looked up to my dad and all this shit. And like in high school, my parents are like, "What do you want to be?" Blah blah blah. And I was like, "I don't know what I want to do. I've thought about being a cop." My dad was like, "No, you are not allowed to do that. Like absolutely fucking not. Like you do not want to be in my position." And I was like, "Oh,
wow.
okay." So yeah.
Okay. Well, shit. So yeah, I mean, it's not even worth being a cop now. I mean,
No, it's really not. Like my dad discourages it like highly to
and
anyone.
and it sucks. Like I know there was like a string of cops in the NYPD who were like killing themselves over the summer.
Yeah.
And it's like, as a cop, like you do a lot of shitty things on the clock, and at the end of the day, when like the entire world is telling you that you're a shitty human being, it's like, why am I even actually putting myself in danger for this stuff?
Yeah.
And
Exactly. Yeah.
and like obviously this goes without saying, but I think it's shitty that we even have to make this disclaimer, is that obviously there are some actions of cops that like we can't excuse, that are like, you know, really
Hmm.
shitty, and they should be held accountable.
Yeah.
But I think that there's, you know, acting like that is the norm is very unfair. And yeah, it's just shitty. So I mean, I can't, having your dad be a cop is much different than my opinion. So like that's why I'm glad that you said something about that, because that's fucking absurd. But
Yeah.
yeah. So do you feel like your like political views are getting like swayed or challenged when you go online? Besides
I
that,
like I don't even know what I would consider myself. I'm not a conservative and I'm not fully like a liberal,
mm-hmm.
but I feel like I lean more on the liberal side. I feel like a lot of social media is mostly liberal anyway because it's younger people and most younger
Right,
people are liberal in general.
for sure.
I don't really feel swayed by politics though. I don't know and I honestly don't know enough to give a lot of opinions
Yeah,
and I'd rather just like not say anything than say something absolutely stupid that I don't know anything about.
yeah,
So it like I'll talk about science. We'll keep it at
yeah,
science.
yeah, yeah. I'm with you.
Politics is not my forte.
Because this is what Connor said in our last podcast. He called out Derek Potts and Alec Meyer because every single
Yeah,
time that,
I did see the comments on your Instagram post.
yeah, because I mean it's hilarious because like Derek does know a lot about politics, but Derek's also like gung ho and doesn't give a shit, and like he'll do that to anyone. So it's like if you're
Mhm.
someone like Connor wants to stick his neck out, it's like Derek's right around the corner. He'll get you. But I mean, I do actually
Bruh.
appreciate what Derek does because there are a lot of lazy people online who just say shit and they don't back it up. So like I appreciate what Derek's doing, and I don't know what Alec does
Or
because I
like
haven't
see
seen
something
anything
on
else.
Facebook and then they're like, this is true for sure.
Yeah,
This is
exactly.
true.
It's definitely
Facebook is
some. It's like
always
some
right.
boomer meme. Yeah, and it's like okay, that's not.
Yes.
Yeah. Um. But yeah, so I mean, it's interesting that people are like finding like their niches online. And it's also interesting how people handle those other people finding those niches online because there's that Black Mirror episode where I think it was White Christmas where the dude does this crime. I forget what it was, and he gets like blocked in real life. You know what I mean? Have you seen Black Mirror?
I have, and I feel like I've seen all the episodes, but I maybe not. Maybe I haven't seen that one.
Okay, well, I mean, all I'm getting at is that he was like blocked in real life, so everyone who was looking at him saw him as like pixelated, and no one can like hear him. And like, um, it's just funny because like now that social media is getting like becoming such a bigger part of our lives. Like, I'm not saying that it'll ever get to that point, but like Derek and Connor won't ever have like an opportunity to talk to each other like in real life probably. So it's like that method of
No.
communication is sort of like shut down. So I don't know. Blocking is sort of becoming like a an existential question to me because I'm like blocking kind of means a lot nowadays. Because not like you go back to school and you see the person in real life and it's just like I just wanted a break from you a little bit. I
Ha.
don't know. But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I feel like we talked about the social media thing like pretty in depth. Do you have any I guess advice for someone who has like demons that they're facing and they feel like they're a fuck up and there's someone who might be in your position and like
Yeah, like definitely like go seek help. Like talk to someone. If medicine's not your thing, then go see a therapist. But like I rely heavily on my meds that keep me somewhat sane in pharmacy school. Um, I don't know, like talk to your friends too. Your friends are going through shit like along with you and I don't know, there's always what am I trying to say?
there's always I think like even if it's journaling, I feel like there's always like an outlet for someone to
Exactly.
yeah.
Like when I was in undergrad, I worked out a ton because I had a lot more time than I do now. But
Mm,
like you can always find something to
yeah. And
help.
I think it disarms a lot of the like inner turmoil the moment you let it out in at least a friendly conversation. Like the moment you make it something you said like a conscious thought, it disarms a lot of the power. So
Yeah,
for
it
anyone
really
listening,
does.
yeah, like I feel like I just want to make that clear. Like even if it's journaling, but I think like the most powerful thing is like talking to a friend about it or talking to a counselor about it. And if you're in undergrad or I'm sure in grad school it's the same way. Counseling is free. That's part of your tuition, so go take advantage of that. But I would say I'm not saying it's like 80% you're cured if you do it, but it is a massive burden if you keep it real with yourself and you tell someone. So
I
Just
mean, like I
yeah.
said, I was seeing a therapist since sophomore year of high school, and it took me from then to junior year of undergrad to like find a medicine that actually worked for me. Like I have
Wow.
gone through like so many antidepressants, so many like anti-anxiety drugs, like, and I finally found one that works for me. Like it takes a long time and it's super discouraging, but
Yeah.
I feel like so much better than I did back
So
then.
so it was like it was worth the trial and error for you when you finally found that thing. Like even
Yeah,
though
it
it
definitely
was
was.
four plus years.
Yeah.
Um, I'll just say something. I was much more luckier than you were. I took Lexapro my freshman year of college, and it wasn't working for me.
They'll
And I,
always start you on that. Yeah.
yeah, that's like the bread and butter, I
The
guess.
first line. Yep.
Yeah. Um, you know why that is actually? Because you're in farm school. I don't know if you have an answer for that.
Yeah. Um, so Lexapro is an SSRI. They'll start you on an SSRI. It's always Lexapro. I don't know why. They always pick
Okay.
that one. And then if that doesn't work for you, they'll probably switch you to another SRI. Like they'll do SSRIs for like ever.
Okay.
Um, and then once you've tried almost like everything in that category, they'll switch you to an SNRI. And the difference is so SNRIs are supposed to work better than SSRIs.
Okay.
SNRIs have like a higher chance if they don't work for you, you have a higher chance of killing yourself.
Oh
Whereas
shit.
S- SSRIs like they don't work as well, but they also have like a lower risk involved. So like if
Hmm.
one of those SSRIs works for you, then that's perfect. Like they don't want to move you to an SNRI.
I see. Is that norepinephrine?
Yeah, so it's a selective what the fuck is it?
I
Selective
always forget the first.
serotonin.
Yeah. Yeah.
SSRI is a
Reuptake
selective
and whatever.
serotonin inhibitor, and then SNRI is a selective norepinephrine reuptake inhibitor.
Okay. All right. Yeah, and like the one thing about um Lexapro is that I stopped at cold turkey and I didn't think it would be an issue, but I got like massive migraines for like the next week. And so
Yeah.
I also didn't tell anyone that I did that except for like my doctor, and she was like, "Oh, you're not stop at cold turkey because you're gonna have
Yeah.
withdrawal symptoms like that." And
Yeah.
so I was just like totally turned off because I'm like, it took me like 2 weeks to even get adjusted to the shitty feeling, and then when I went
Yeah.
off of it, I felt super shitty. So I'm like, why? I would rather just
Yeah.
be like the shitty I was feeling than like go through these loops. Um,
Yeah. And so like a lot of them don't they you don't you start realizing that they might be working after 2 weeks, but they don't fully give you the full effects until like a month. So that's like a
yeah,
whole other like burden. Like you go like a whole month trying to figure out if this medicine like works for you or
yeah,
not.
and a lot of them like change your personality a little bit too.
Hmm.
Like, yeah. So I that's like a whole other thing, and like especially if you're working. But the thing about antidepressants that I want to sort of like this is my experience is that I did a pretty good job of for myself to convince myself that I didn't need it. Because I was going through phases where I realized how important diet and exercise was, and that definitely helped me a lot.
Hmm.
Because diet and exercise, I
Yeah,
want to
for
say is
sure.
like 80%. I mean, because for a lot of people, taking an antidepressant will be the 9-day difference. But for me personally, like I was very out of shape and my diet was very bad. So for me, it was like 80-20 at the time. But I was
Yeah.
still, there was a part of me that still wasn't like, I knew that this wasn't normal and I was still depressed. And I bit the bullet because there was like a pride thing. I was like, do I really want to be like on an antidepressant? Because back then I was like, do I really want to be an But now that I take it and I'm like, I was such an idiot for like thinking that that was like that had any weight to my
The
like.
big
Who gives a
barrier,
shit?
yeah.
Yeah, it's like who gives a shit? Like
Yeah.
the difference between me now and then, I'm like, this was like the world to me. This change, and that was Wellbutrin. I don't know if that's an SNRI or not, but Wellbutrin to me is like
Um,
golden.
I don't know which one that is. I don't even know if it's one of those two.
I think it's a dopamine.
I forget.
I don't know.
I'm gonna look it up real quick because
Yeah.
now it's gonna bother me if I don't know it.
Okay.
For class.
But yeah, Wellbutrin is one of those things where I'm pretty sure you can stop it cold turkey and you'll be okay. but if you take like double the dose, you'll get a seizure. So that's not good.
It's an NDRI, a norepinephrine dopamine reuptake inhibitor.
Okay. But no, those people who make those drugs are saints. Seriously. Like,
it's just so crazy how like one will work for you and not work for someone else.
Yeah, that
like,
too.
There's so much variability.
Yeah.
But look, I like fully embrace it now. I have my own pill calendar.
Hey.
I, like you said, like I was studying for an exam a final last year, and I had like my Effexor in my purse because I was studying with a friend, and then we pull all-nighters for every exam. So like I usually take it when I go to bed, and I just never went to bed, so I forgot about it. And then I went home and it wasn't in my stack of like meds because it was still in my purse, and so I forgot to take it. I'm like throwing up, like getting withdrawal symptoms so bad. I have this headache. I can't stop crying. I have a final the next day. I'm freaking the fuck out. And then I finally realized that I've just been like giving myself withdrawals. And I was like, I am a dumb bitch. I'm in pharmacy school. Like, how do I forget to take my medicine?
Wait, so that wasn't even a day? Like that was just at night of that day?
I went probably start to realize it after like 24 hours. Like I start to get a little weird after 24 hours. But I think I went like 3 days. Like I saw a doctor and I was like, I don't know what's wrong with me. Like I am not doing well. And I finally figured it out, thank God. And I felt better like immediately.
Yo.
It's crazy.
See, that's like, yeah.
So that's when I bought this. I was like, I am never gonna forget to take my meds again. So
damn. Yeah, because on Wellbutrin, like I forgot to take it one day and I just felt like really dumb. Like my brain just had no thoughts, and I'm like, this is much better than having crushing migraines and me being like doubled over and stuff. So damn. So yeah, stay safe. They're nothing to mess around with, but yeah. Sheesh. Okay.
Yeah.
But I think we're talking for like, let's see here. We've been talking for just about an hour. I think we talked about a lot of things, and I want to thank you for being so open because that affected me immediately. And if it's anything like Connor or like Katie or anyone else who's been on here, they really appreciate it and they won't tell you. So I'll tell you this because Connor was, open enough to share this with me that at least 10 people reached out to him afterwards and they only said positive things. And that, to me personally, this is my prediction, is that there are so many other people who just didn't cross that threshold to go and actually take the time to go and say how much they appreciated that. Because people don't like, I don't really know that person that well, blah, blah, blah. But I am sure that you made huge impacts on people. So yeah, thank you for being so open. But besides
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, if you have any plugs, like your Instagram or something, then you can go ahead and do that. Otherwise,
yeah, I got you.
Okay. Otherwise, that's that. So peace.
Good shit. Thank you. I had a lot of fun.